Welcome, listeners, to Live Music Showcase here on 88.5 WMNF Tampa. I'm your host, Ken Apperson. We're here every Friday at 2 p.m. Thank you so much for tuning in today. And I couldn't be more thrilled to introduce one of my favorite people in the Tampa Bay music scene right now. This man, if there was a picture in the dictionary for self-made musician, I think this guy's photo would be there. He's done just about everything. He's been a touring musician. He's been a gigging musician. He's done all of the small rooms. He's done a lot of really big rooms and huge audiences, 10,000 plus people, played all over the world. I could spend maybe the entire show setting him up, but I'll let him introduce himself a little bit more. Nathan Mitchell is on the show today. How you doing, man?
Doing good, man. Thank you for having me.
I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled. You know me. I get real excited about this kind of stuff. Me and Nathan go way back. Can I call you Nate?
That's right.
Okay, I appreciate that. Not anybody else can call him Nate. We go back. I can get away with it. If you want to tune in right now to the Facebook live stream, we've got a full production live stream going on today. If you're a fan of the show, you already know WMNF's Live Music Showcase on Facebook. Go follow the page, hit the notification button, and find out when we're going to go live. We're live right now. You can tune in. You can watch the whole show live. You can also listen to this show at WMNF.org live, or you can hear it in the archive when you go and find our show, Live Music Showcase, on there. You can follow us on Instagram at live_music_showcase. I made it a little easier for everybody at this point. And there's a number of other ways you can listen to the show, too. Maybe we'll talk about those a little bit more. But, Nate, I'd love to dive into the first song. You are a smooth jazz musician.
Yes.
And smooth jazz, for people that don't listen to smooth jazz, has kind of a stigma about it, like elevator music, things like that. I believed that for a long time.
Right.
Until I got to know you and got to see what you've been able to do with this music and got to hear it. And I honestly get to enjoy it. You know, I turn it on in the morning when I'm making my coffee and I like walk around the house, and that it's my relaxation music. So thank you for giving that to us. But I want to dive into the first song here. I think it's called Inspiration.
Inspiration. Let's
Yeah.
see.
All right. Welcome to Live Music Showcase on WMNF. We're live in studio with Nathan Mitchell, playing that beautiful baby grand piano.
This thing sounds great.
Yeah, you happy with it?
It sounds great.
I know you have a discerning feel and a discerning ear.
Yeah, man.
And I mean, you sound great on it, obviously.
Oh man, it feels good.
The live stream's already lighting up with your fans.
Oh, that's what's up.
They're already in
Hello,
there
hello.
watching and listening. So, yeah, feel free if you're in the live stream now. Leave a comment, leave a question. Who knows if you ask good questions, I might even ask it on air. You never know. I might even say your name on air too and say where the question came from. Feel free to leave a comment in there. So, Nathan, anytime we've worked together on a couple of projects in a semi-similar atmosphere like this, where it's music and interview and all that stuff. And honestly, you know, the music is fantastic, but I always really like to make sure that listeners, especially listeners who've never heard you before, they don't just get to hear the music, they get to kind of experience the man behind it. And you have had such a fascinating journey in music and in life in general, and how those things kind of interwove throughout the years. And you've done so much since the last time I've seen you too. Like, I mean, you're up for another NAACP Image Award.
That's
Third
right.
year in a row you've been
year.
nominated.
Yeah.
That's huge. I think third time's the charm. I think
That's right. We're crossing our fingers.
that's right. Everybody else, cross your fingers too. Maybe send a message or two to the NAACP organization and be like, hey, my guy Nathan should be the guy. Anyway,
That's right.
you've done that. You're part of the Grammy. Say it again.
The Recording Academy.
The Grammy Recording Academy. You've charted on the Billboard Smooth Jazz charts. I mean, you're quintessential pro in every way. Homegrown here in the Tampa Bay area, correct?
Well, not necessarily. I mean, I've lived here for the past 10 years, and it's been a great experience. One thing I can definitely say is Tampa Bay was really a major breeding ground for the career path that I'm on. When I came here, I wasn't thinking about this path, and it just kind of somewhat fell in my lap. So
When you came here, what was the path you were thinking about?
actually, it was me coming here. It was just mainly just kind of. I was doing a lot of church stuff, working in a lot of church ministries, but I kind of took a break from it at the time when I did move here, because at the time I moved here, it was during the rough times of my wife being sick with that cancer.
Right.
So the story. I mean, we could talk about it, very freely,
Sure.
But
Appreciate that.
we when I came here, I had no expectations. I had no musical expectations. I wasn't even looking to really get involved into anything musically here. And even though I did have some roots here, I was connected to some people. It was just not something that it wasn't a priority. It wasn't something I was just really thinking about.
Sure. Like it was, you really at that point didn't realize that your life was going to go in the direction that it
Correct.
has.
Right.
So at what point did you kind of realize, okay, this is the direction I'm going to go in now?
Well, what happened was I was actually out of town, and a mutual friend of ours, Frank Richardson III.
Yeah.
Yeah, drummer. So he gave me a call, and he was saying, hey, I need a keyboard player for a smooth jazz show that was taking place in Boca Raton at this new jazz spot that was opening up, which is real famous now, the Funky Biscuit.
Okay.
So I actually told him no. I told him no actually a couple of times, because I wasn't in the mood of playing. It was 6 months. I stopped playing, just kind of just taking time to really kind of focus on me and my kids. That was pretty much, I mean, that literally was the beginning of, us trying to transition into a new lifestyle without my partner. So Third, I've been knowing Third for years. So he was just like, listen, I need my big brother. So when he said that, it triggered me to say yes. So I said yes. And the first show that I played was with my very good friends, Marcus Anderson and Will Donato. And that was at the Funky Biscuit. So I went down there, played it, and it was just an amazing experience. I mean, that was the first time I really played since the passing of my wife. So a lot of emotions came from me playing. And it was just great. And then next thing happened, honestly, I think Will or Marcus, somebody went back and told the management, the booking staff that booked the gig, and they reached out to me.
That's how it happens.
They reached out to me, and when they reached out to me, they asked me would I be interested in playing for the roster.
Yeah.
So when I started playing for the roster, and he had like a lot of intermediate artists on there that had names, had stuff on the Billboard charts. started with them, and then I started getting calls from A-list artists. So literally it was a situation that just kind of fell in my lap, and I just kind of took it and ran with it.
See, I would love to talk a little bit more about, I know it's a sensitive subject, but if we could, I think that that's such a valuable piece of information about what you went through and what you and your wife and your family went through. I want to talk about that, but I'd love to hear another song first.
Okay.
Can we hear that?
What do you want to hear?
Let's hear
He has
Smooth
like
Groove.
my my whole playlist.
I've got control over this one. All right, let's hear that one. All right. You're listening to Live Music Showcase, live in studio with Nate Mitchell. You're listening to Live Music Showcase here on 88.5 WMNF Tampa. I'm your host, Ken Apperson. We're live in studio with Mr. Nathan Mitchell. I love the groove on that. I love the bass track. And so I love that you compose all of this music. You write all of this music. You play a lot of it, too.
Right. And on
these
that particular song,
Yeah.
well, pretty much on all my albums, I record, I do everything myself. Sometimes I have features come in. The most I do outsource is probably some guitar parts.
Yeah.
But that song was really great for me because, that song actually brought a lot of notoriety from Sirius XM.
Yeah.
And also just other channels as well, out there on the major market. And then too, the bass feature, a lot of people didn't know I played bass. So I actually played the bass solo on there as well. So that song did very well for me.
See, that's one of my favorite things about you too. And we'll talk about it a little bit more later on as far as like your versatility when it comes to just different instruments. Cause we've played gigs together in the past and you'd show up and drums one time.
You'll have me on everything.
You show up on bass one time. You filled in for me at other gigs when I was playing solo stuff and you're like, yeah I'll just play guitar and I'll say, and you killed it like every time. I definitely want to dive into that in a little while. But I think that, again, one of the most important things about like telling your story is talking about the adversity that you've dealt with
right.
in your life and in your family's life, and the things that you guys have overcome. So I know that your fans and your followers know this story really well already, but for the people who are just meeting you for the first time, so your wife was sick with cancer,
correct,
and she passed away.
That's right,
and that was kind of a formative moment for you, right?
That was the most devastating moment.
Yeah.
Of all time. In fact, it was a major turning point of trying to figure out which direction to go in. We were married since 1998.
Yeah.
So, she passed away in 2010.
Yeah.
We were together for 3 years before we even got married. So there's a lot of connection that we had. That was built, a covenant. We have a strong faith base. Covenant is very important to us. So, as young as we were when we got married.
How old were you when you got married?
23.
23.
So the design was, this is what we're going to do as partners, visionaries together. We have a purpose design. So it was very difficult because at the point of death, it's like, okay, the plans just changed. What do I do now?
Yeah.
So, it was something, and,
you have to be struggling with obviously you're struggling with the emotions of that, of losing
of course.
Your person and your kids struggling with that. And then on top of that, like your profession and your passion, like everything suddenly gets, and tell me if I'm wrong, I'm just asking from an outsider's perspective. You must hit a point where like everything gets kind of like a quality check. It's like, what do I really want to be doing? Do I want to do this? Do I want to be doing this? Do I want to be doing music?
Yeah, I don't. Well, you know what? I would actually want to backtrack that. I would not say a quality check.
Okay.
I would say a pause.
Okay, sure.
Because more of you just don't know.
Okay.
Because before, and you know how we talk all the time.
Sure.
And I know you went through a relationship situation and you just kind of changed out of that and went, and it's
Sure.
just like, we have plans. We have purpose. I
think I know what you're going to say. Go ahead.
We have plans and purpose.
Yeah.
And to get to a point, and especially, how me and you talk, we always have a backup to the backup.
Yeah. We try to, at least.
Right. We always try to have a backup to the backup.
Mm-hmm.
But this situation put me at a point of, what am I going to, I don't know what to do.
The shoots have failed. There's no backup.
There is no backup. Right.
What do I do?
What do I do? I'm out of, I don't have no more control.
Yeah.
And that is where everything just kind of like, wait, it stopped.
Yeah.
So, and then at the time, my daughter, she was 1.
Yep.
She was born through the cancer. My son at the time was 8 years old. So it was like a lot to contend with because, one, when my daughter was born, a lot of people don't know, my daughter's health was at risk as well.
Yeah.
Literally the day after we funeralized my wife, I had to take my daughter to the hospital. She was in the hospital for 2 to 3 weeks, and she had a very bad pneumonia, and the doctors was like, she's going to have to want to be here.
Yeah.
In short.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just like, it was just very life challenging, lot of life challenges. And at the end of the day, there were times where I just didn't have the pleasure of mourning or the pleasure of sadness or the pleasure. The only thing I had the pleasure of doing was fighting. And that was where it was at for me.
Now, what do you mean by fighting?
Fighting meaning that I had to be the strength for my wife. I had to be the strength for my daughter.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do everything to make sure my son's emotions are together and all of that, keeping him on a path, because something like that, as an 8-year-old, that can really just change, and
it's formative.
And I've heard stories of, kids that have lost their parent, and they've gone down some of the roughest paths, and I'm just very thankful. Like my son, right now, he's a second-year student at Berkeley.
Yeah.
School of Music.
Mm-hmm.
He is a AB student. He's doing very well.
That's phenomenal.
Sometimes he does ask for me to put my hands around his neck.
Okay.
He asked for it a couple times.
Okay.
But he recovers,
right,
and remembers. But I'm really proud of him. But I look at him and I think about he was 8 years old, now he's 19. It's like, wow, kid, you did it.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter, same thing. She's 13 now. I'm looking like, wow, she did it.
You did it as a father.
Whatever
you did.
That's right. You just gotta, the thing is, you just gotta be a parent.
Yeah.
You don't abandon being a parent.
Yeah.
And there's a void that, like, I know a lot of people that say, oh yeah, my father, he's supportive, but he's not really loving. I would say I'm a very passionate person. I tell him I love him. I give him hugs. I give my son a kiss today, and he be like, stop. I'm like, no, but no, I'm not gonna stop. You still my little boy. You still my young lion.
Mm-hmm.
So you just got to give them that affection, and then to keep them on track of understanding, you have to have vision and purpose.
See, I think that's excellent. I think that's great leadership and great guidance. And hands around the neck, figuratively, I would imagine. Yeah, mostly figuratively.
Bart, more so like Simpson.
Bart Simpson
style.
Simpson style. I love that. That's good. Just want to clarify for any of the sheriff's county that might be listening right now.
It's okay.
There's no actual domestic violence going on in the Nate Mitchell household. Just making that crystal clear for the listeners out there. So, all right. So I want to dive into a little bit of some of the stuff that you and I have experienced together on stage, because I'm honored to get to say that I've actually gotten to share the stage with you a couple times. Not going to be too self-glorifying here, because I'm more interested in your perspective on some of that stuff. But I want to hear another song first.
Okay.
So let's hear Swing City.
Swing City.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that did good for us on the charts. Yeah.
You're listening to Live Music Showcase on 88.5. We're live in studio with Nathan Mitchell. Just a few comments from the live stream here. We've got quite a few. Your fans are blowing it up, man. And it's nothing but remarks on how terrible it is. Oh, sorry, I meant opposite.
Thank you.
Did I throw you for a minute?
Thank you, Miles.
We love you here in New York. That's Susie Oliver. Let's see, Julia James. Nathan, you are a remarkable man and are so loved. We've got dancing emojis, so much talent. We appreciate you sharing yours from Carmen Bruner.
Thank you so much.
Let's see. Susie commented about the conversation we were just having. I'm so sorry to hear all of this. God is good. Look where you're now. Again, I say God is good. Something in there. Cool. Let's go, bro. That's my producer, Michael L. Lloyd. That's your producer.
That's right. The Lloyd Project.
I like that. That's cool. So, I love that people are hanging out, listening. Make sure if you're listening right now, if you're watching the live stream, make sure you guys hit that follow button and hit that notification button, because that way, every time we go live, you'll get a notification and you can tune in every time. We have music on every single week, every Friday, 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Check it out. So, we've gotten to share the stage a couple of times.
Yes.
And frankly, I'm kind of like selfishly going to use this as a moment where I can like pull a little like honesty out of the artist, the guest, i.e. you today.
Okay.
But so like we played a couple of shows, right? And they seem to go really well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm always curious to know, like, I'm always the front guy. I'm almost never the guy who's playing guitar on the side. I'm usually the guy singing. You've always been such an incredible balance of like talent and ability and patience and humbleness. Like, we've played some shows before that didn't go so well. I remember we played at Ruby's one night, and we had another drummer play. Or I don't remember if you were on drums or somebody else was on drums, and you were. Oh, you know what it was? We had another drummer, and you were on keys.
Right.
And we just couldn't find that cohesive thing
With him. Yeah.
And we were both kind of like losing our cool a little bit. I was losing my cool. I don't know. I don't know if you were losing your cool, because I couldn't tell.
Right.
But I did see a moment, and I've seen it before on other stages, where the musicians that are like trying to like deal with the other one they just shut down. They're like, okay, I'm gonna get through this.
Right.
What's the worst you've ever lost it at a gig? In a situation like that?
In a situation like that, honestly, there hasn't really been.
You ever blown up? Just kind of lost it? No?
No.
I wouldn't expect it.
Not really.
No.
It doesn't mean that I was a volcano inside.
Right, of course. So where do you put that then? Where do you take that? You've got that, like.
I wouldn't say, what?
Guy,
actually, let me pull this, because there's probably some musicians out there that would beg different. The only time that you probably see the energy out of me where it's kind of like, yo, what's up, is when I feel like I have to pull the energy from a musician.
Yeah.
I'm the kind of person, like, if I'm playing with a musician, especially if I hire you, there's a certain potential that I already see in you. And there's something there that I see that's very special. And it's just like any person that's more of a mentor. It's frustrating to see someone's potential that doesn't see it for themselves.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's like, I'm pulling you, but you're not seeing it.
Of the musicians that you've worked with, who would you say is like a success story that like you first saw them or first played with them and it was like, this is driving me crazy, and now maybe you're seeing them in a different light? Do you have anyone like that?
My drummer.
Yeah?
My current drummer.
Who's that?
Simeon Moore.
Simeon, yeah.
Moore.
Oh, man.
When Simeon, he started the industry with me.
Yeah.
I took him, I'll never forget, I took him to Philly.
If you're listening right now and you know Simeon, let him know we're talking about him on the radio.
Yeah, we're talking to him.
88.5. Turn the dial.
we took him, I took him to Philadelphia. We played at Penn's Landing, and we were there with Lynn Roundtree, Jeff Bradshaw, David P. Stevens on guitar.
Heavy hitters in the smooth jazz world.
Yeah. And this was a Live Nation gig.
Yeah.
So
what was the audience size?
Oh gosh, as far as I can see.
Thousands.
And that was Simeon's first gig. So I remember, that was his first gig on the road. So when I took him on the road, it was like, okay, first thing I did was sit him down and was like, listen, first off, these are the do's and don'ts. When you get there, you're in show mode when you get off the plane.
I'll dive into that in a little bit. Keep going. I'm sorry.
You know.
You just had me think of something really poignant because
Okay,
I always try to make this show kind of like a toolbox for musicians
Right.
to do. So those do's and don'ts, I want to talk about those in a minute, but please continue.
Yeah. So I mean, and I gave him the shirt. I said, you can either make this an opportunity where you play today, get your check today, and go home, or you can make this an opportunity that leads to something else.
Right.
Moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so proud of him because not only is he established his own name now from that one gig. I remember we went to Mexico, and just to kind of touch it just very briefly, Simeon told me he wanted to be a professional musician, and
Sure.
His father was a musician.
Okay.
And I'll never forget, we were in Mexico. I took him overseas. Took him overseas for the first time. We went to Los Cabos, and we did the Los Cabos Jazz Festival. And when we got there, he FaceTimed his father, and at the time his father was in the hospital.
Okay.
So Simeon just started crying on, he probably gonna talk about me later about this, but I just remember he just started crying because he was, Dad, look where I'm at. And his father was so excited because, his father being a drummer, and his father has passed away since then, but he was literally, it's like he set the foundations for him, and now Simeon is actually living a dream that his father was like proud of him. He was like, yo, I thought I was going to have it, but you got it. So to see him constantly excelling, like he plays with me, he plays with multiple artists on the road, and his largest act, he recently just started playing with El DeBarge.
Oh, wow.
So now, I got to try to figure out how to pay him based on a DeBarge pay scale, which
Like, all right, I got to up your,
all right.
You're in a new tax bracket now.
Right,
Okay.
exactly.
I love that. Well, I want to dive into those do's and don'ts that you were
Yes.
going to mention, that you told him, because that information is invaluable
Yeah.
to musicians. But I want to do the next song first, if that's okay with
What's
you.
that? What we got?
Simply Beautiful.
Simply Beautiful.
I love Simply Beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
This is a great song. You're listening to Live Music Showcase here on 88.5 WMNF. I'm your host, Ken Apperson. We're live in studio today with Nathan Mitchell here on this beautiful baby grand piano in the Mike Eisenstadt studio here at the station. So before that last song, which, by the way, Simply Beautiful, it's simply good looking. Simply beautiful. It's gorgeous. It's beautiful. Well done. Beautiful composition. I talk about it all the time on this show, and for the music fans out there that are like writing music, creating space in a composition is so important.
Yeah.
Unless you're in like an acid bluegrass band or any kind of band that the genre starts with acid, usually you can just fill all the space, play all the notes, and you're good. Everything else, we need to create some room for breath.
Right.
We need to be able to breathe through. And for all the chops that you have, obviously, on the piano, I don't ever hear you like fully just go all out, blow chops, Jerry Lee Lewis style. And I like that. I think that's perfect for the style of music that you're playing. Because every time, what's that saying? If you it's Miles Davis.
Okay.
It's not about the notes you play. It's the notes you don't play.
Correct.
It's the spaces between them.
And one thing is for me, I'm big on make every note count.
Yeah. So the fewer notes you have, the more the notes you play count.
And precision.
Precision.
I don't believe in, if I'm going to play, it has to sound like not right. It's like, it has to be.
That. Yeah.
See, that was bad. See, right, exactly. So
back to the woodshed.
It's back to the woodshed. Everything, every note has to play. It has to count. I want it to sound like it was meant to be played.
Yeah.
And then, one thing about me, I've always been a fan of how guitars and horn players execute sound.
Sure.
It sounds vocal.
Yeah. It sounds like a voice.
It sounds like a voice. And that's been one of the things that I've been trying to emulate on piano. I wanted to sound like a voice.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. So as far as like advice goes to the listeners, that's a great little tidbit right there. But you were talking a minute ago about you sat Simeon down and you said, these are the do's, these are the don'ts for this level of a show.
Right.
In terms of like Live Nation, thousands of people perform, thousands of people in the audience. This is the next level of performance. What were some of those don'ts for starters?
Don't come to the gig late.
Don't come late. Like it.
Don't come there and tell the artist what to do.
Okay.
Don't come in there and think that you have it all.
Okay.
Don't be afraid to make a mistake.
Ah, okay.
Don't be afraid to recover
from
the mistake.
Yeah.
Don't be like some of the local guys that you know.
There's a funny thing that happens, and I know you know this because we've played with people that have had this happen. You play in bars and restaurants long enough,
right? And
you get enough people who are inebriated telling you that you're the greatest thing they've ever seen,
right?
And you start believing it,
right?
When in the reality, you're maybe the greatest thing they've ever seen
in a bar area, right?
Or in that particular area code,
correct?
But that doesn't mean you're the next level that you might think you are.
That's right. I mean, humility comes one of two ways. I mean, like right now, there's this young kid out here that's like 12 years old, 13 years old on piano, and he is just amazing. I'm like, put me up 2 acts before he even decides to go up. Not before when he does go up. Just if he decides he wants to go up, I've already gone up 2 acts before him because he's just amazing.
You don't want to be associated.
I don't want to be nowhere near it.
Follow that guy. I don't want to open for that guy. Yeah, sure.
But he's just like, but it just comes in so many different fashions, and which is one of the reasons why I like playing local gigs.
Yeah.
There's been gigs I've played where it's been, hey, $75. And this is while I'm doing the big gigs that are getting the serious money. But I do it because there's a humility factor that comes with it by playing those gigs. Second, I also do those gigs too because I feel like it's the woodshed for me. Mm-hmm. There's pretty much all the songs that I have learned, I learned them in the woodshed. I didn't learn them on the big stage. I learned them at the Ruby Elixirs or the small gigs that we used to do together or taking on the challenge. Well, you know what? When you call, be like, hey, Nate, can you come do this gig? Do it on guitar. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to say no because you just challenged me to figure out 30 songs that I
Sure.
could put together on guitar.
Mm-hmm.
And if I could execute that, it puts me in a frame of learning. And one of my mottos to to everyone, even for myself, is always be a student.
I love that.
Always be a student.
So with that, I'd love to. We'll do, if we have time, two more, but we'll definitely do groove therapy.
Okay.
If you want, I want to hear groove therapy.
Okay.
Because I love that song.
Yeah, let's do it.
That's our show today, live music showcase here on 88.5 WMNF. Coming up next, we have the Rhythm Revival with Reverend Billy, one of my favorite shows on the station. You hear some of the best music, the most legendary music by the most legendary players, and they do a little bit of a deep dive, tell you a little bit about those songs and where they came from and the artists that made them. Nathan, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me, Ken.
We have such a great crew, a great staff here on this show. Sound mixer Mark Perfetti over there on the ones and twos on the mixing console, making everything sound absolutely gorgeous. Our video director, Bob Hoke. Camera, Marcy Connors. Video production, Richard Stone. Audio assistant, Pamela Robertson. And the board op today, making sure we get out to the airwaves nice and clear, is Brian Van Fleet. Thank you so much for listening to this show. We are every Friday at 2 p.m. You can hear us live on 88.5 FM. You can hear us live at WMNF.org. You can listen to this episode and every other episode you've ever heard of this show for at least the past 2 years in the archive on WMNF.org. Or you can consume this episode and the last month's episodes everywhere you get podcasts. Just search Live Music Showcase. Nathan Mitchell, you can find him on all the places where you stream music. Just search Nathan Mitchell Music. You'll find it. So I thought maybe you could take us out with one last song, if that's okay. How about Do I Do?
Man, you know what? And let me say this. Ken, you really do a great job with this. This is...
I'm working on it.
I'm like...
You ready?
Let's do it, man.
Let's do it.
down.